definitely going to show you the last frame, like where we're at.
Yeah. Second live of the day. And some people are joining in. Hello, hello, hello. There's a special oh, there we go. And okay. Should be working. And
hello.
Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you, Matt?
Good, good. Good to meet you.
You as well.
Not face to face, but screen to screen.
Yes.
You know, as this is how 99.99% of all conversations, interactions are going these days.
It's true. It's great.
It's true. Well, thanks for joining me. I guess let's tell everybody what we're doing here today, because this is pretty cool. Basically, last week, kids up front reached out to me saying, do you want to maybe fill in, because was it you that sent the email, or?
It was Kelly, but
Okay, Kelly, okay.
I was CC'd. It's all good.
So you guys sent an email saying, like, hey, Matt, we usually do, was it after school programs, or this was like a March break specific request, or?
So we do tickets for anything that's child and youth friendly in Toronto. So like anything from sports, museums, March break camps, summer camps, theater, like everything that's child and youth friendly. That's the tickets that we usually give out to the agencies that we work with. But now obviously everything has stopped. So we're looking for other ways to connect kids to the community. So I thought you would be a great person to reach out to.
And you know, it's like I don't know if you see my big stormtrooper in the back. I am an old child, so I love. For me, sorry if you hear sirens in the back. It's background noise, but no, I thought this was such a great opportunity that if kids can't do an activity like physically, what can they do? And when your team was like, hey Matt, do you mind doing like a little live cooking demo? I love it, you know, and what's great is anyone can join in right now. So obviously there's my community that's welcome to come in, but if you have no idea what this collaborative Insta Live is all about, we are doing this with kids up front. Like you were saying, it's kind of an activity-based organization for kids that would normally have tickets to go do events, but now I am the event. This is it. This is what we're doing. So when you guys asked me, like, Matt, what would you do as a live? I thought, like, one thing that my girlfriend's my business partner, and she is much smarter than I am. So she was like, you know what you should do, Matt? Instead of telling people what you're going to make, you should ask them what, like, common ingredients are around the house right now, because I think that's such a big thing. Like, if you've been on our Instagram at all lately, it's been about how do you make the most out of things that are already in your fridge, substituting ingredients that you wouldn't necessarily, because you can't just run to the store anymore to go grab XYZ, because that's just not how things are right now. Like, I think everyone's got to be a lot more proactive about their approach with ingredients. So I've been a huge believer and, you know, of making a meal that could then be used like 2 or 3 or 4 different ways afterwards. That way you're not stuck doing the same thing. So you guys said, I think the response was a pasta dish would go over very well.
Yes.
Your group. And I said, well, what better kid-friendly pasta dish is there than macaroni and cheese? Like, or doing a from scratch mac and cheese. Because I think what people don't realize, or maybe they don't realize, is how easy it is to make macaroni and cheese from scratch relative to the packaged box one. And you'd be amazed that this is all here for fun and games, right? So it's very cool. So I'll get started. I have everything measured out. I'm going to make the most basic version of this dish, but in there I am going to be kind of giving you tips or ways to utilize other things in your fridge at this point, adding new things in. Hello. Oh, a lot of people are. Oh, wow.
I'm reading.
Hello. My nickname in hockey when I was a kid was Matt the Rat, because I was really small and like spry. So someone from my hockey past is clearly on this chat, because you would only know me in that name if we played hockey together as youth. So
that's funny.
Okay, so while I get started, and basically you can see me, you can see the oven. Obviously it's really hard to see my stove top. So I'm gonna every once in a while tilt everything forward so you can see what I'm using. And then I already have all my ingredients kind of itemized out here, so I can kind of very easily, step by step, talk to you guys about what we have available, if that's easier for you. So to get started, equipment and tools. Oh, and for one thing, just want to like ask me some questions that people are kind of feeding to the
Yeah,
chat.
I'll read the questions. Pop out some questions, people.
Awesome. I did a live yesterday with my friend Tanya Kim, and I had 2 pans in my hand like this, and I busted out the Swedish chef accent from the Muppets. Chef. Anyways, that's my Swedish impersonation. But anyways, so there's 4 things you're going to need from an equipment standpoint to get started. We have here, this is the pan that I'm going to use to make my cheese sauce. I have a rubber spatula. I have a rubber whisk, something that won't scratch the base of the pan. I have a water pot. There's water in it right now, so that's why I was struggling to lift it a little bit. And I'm gonna actually end up baking this macaroni and cheese once it's all built. So I would suggest some sort of oven-safe like platter. It can kind of go in just like this, bake it, and then pull it out safely using either gloves or a rag. But so yeah, those are going to be your bases right there.
Someone asked if they should be boiling the water already.
So I just turned my water on now. It doesn't hurt you can't overboil water unless it evaporates. Like, you're not going to burn the water, I promise you. But you might lose some just if it's been boiling for too long. So I've just turned mine on now, and it's going to sit in the background there. The first thing we're going to do is the burner that's under this pan. We're going to turn that on to a kind of like a medium temperature. You don't want it too low. You don't want it too high. This is to melt our butter. You don't want the butter to burn or to brown on anyone. And also, if you're not watching live or you're not taking notes, we're going to provide you guys, kids up front, with the recipe.
Yeah.
And someone says, Matt, I have a question. Can you answer? Shoot, what's the question? Do they have a question? This is amazing. Thank you for doing it. My absolute pleasure.
It says, Matt, call me a rat.
Is that a question? I didn't call you a rat. I said if you knew that nickname, chances are we played hockey, or you were a parent of someone that played hockey with me, or I don't know, maybe not.
There's another question.
There's a question? Okay.
There's another question from someone else. It says, will this recipe feed 5 people?
We can scale it up to feed 5 people. It'll definitely feed 3 people the way I do it. But yeah, other than that, you just have to scale up the recipe. So basically, when we submit the recipe to you guys, if you double it, you'll definitely feed 5 people out of it. Someone says, can you call me a rat? That's so weird. Sure. Sure, you're a rat, I guess. Okay, so I have 2 tablespoons of butter. That's going to go in the pan first. And like I said, you don't want the pan too hot, or else you will burn the butter. It'll brown on you. When the butter browns, it caramelizes. It will change the flavor of what we're trying to go for. So like I said, a nice medium-low temperature. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you as it's melting. I'm going to just bring my... Someone says, do you like to mix oil and butter? You can, but for making the cheese sauce, I would suggest just using the butter for right now. So there we go. We got some butter melting. Also, if you see me tripping, it's because my puppy is literally right in between my feet as I'm cooking. She loves the camera, so it seems to be a thing with her. Yeah, she wants to always. It's a lot of fun. But okay, so now this is what the rubber spatula is for. I'm just mixing the butter around. I use unsalted butter. You can use salted butter, but just be mindful of, if you are using salted butter and then you salt the water and salt your pasta, you've now kind of triple salted. Someone is very adamant about this. I don't know what
it's a real question.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so butter pretty much melted. And now I have 2 tablespoons of white flour. So at this point, you are going to turn your heat down even more. So I've got it down. If you have like a number setting situation on your stovetop, I've got it at a 2 right now, 2 in between, like a 2 and a 3, because you don't want it to get too hot while you're adding your flour. And now you gradually add the flour in, and while you're adding the flour,
how much butter?
you are going to kind of use the spatula to kind of mix it with the melted butter. And it's going to become a paste, a roux, basically.
How much butter are you using?
So 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of white flour. Somebody is very adamant. I don't know what I'm not doing, but how much butter? So 2 tablespoons of butter. I will show the stove in 2 seconds. So I'm just going to show you exactly what it looks like right now. So as I do this, I'm going to take the pan off the heat just so it's not burning. So now you can see, oh, that's the wrong burner. Where is it? There it is. Okay. So now you can kind of see it's like this paste almost. Okay. Now there's no seasoning in this paste. I haven't added salt yet, but now I'm going to add that, put it back over the heat, and we're going to add our dairy. So you're going to look to about a cup to a cup and a quarter of 2% milk. One thing that I'm doing right now is I actually did a cup of milk and a quarter cup of cream, mainly because we didn't have a lot of milk in the apartment right now. And like I said, this isn't the kind of time where you're like, oh, I'm short a quarter cup of milk. I'm going to run to the store. So it was kind of like, what can I use as an adequate kind of substitute? So the cream works perfectly. So now as I'm adding this, I always like to add a little bit and mix. Add a little bit and mix. And like you can literally see, like I'm literally just doing it right in front of you guys. So I'm adding a little bit and mix. And I would not suggest adding it all in at one time. Just slowly add a little bit more. Someone says, hello from Yorkshire, UK. Hello, hello. Wow, we got people from the UK. We've noticed we've been having people from like New Zealand from New Zealand joining our lives, which is great.
That's cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Some people are asking to slow it down a bit.
Slow it down, no problem. So I'm actually gonna just hang out right now as I get the dairy absorbed by. So I've only added about not even half of the dairy that I'm supposed to add, and I'm going to show you how it looks now. So it's starting to thicken up quite a bit. See, so it's more like a paste now. So I'm going to just continue to add the dairy, continue to add the dairy. Continue. And again, I still have it on a low heat. So I just that's the full cup and a quarter that I've added now. And I'm just going to, so literally at this point, all you're doing is you're blending those 3 ingredients together. So we've done the first 2, which is butter and flour. Once all the butter that melted butter has absorbed the flour, then that's when we start adding the dairy. And then literally now I'm doing the exact same thing. I've got it on like that medium-low heat, and I'm adding the dairy to that mixture. And we kind of saw the various stages. We saw it was starting to get chunkier and chunkier, more like a paste. And now basically, essentially, this is our base for the cheese sauce.
Very cool.
And you just kind of work with this. At this point, like I'm using the rubber spatula right now to grab all the great bits off the side of my pan. But you can even use, I was saying the whisk earlier, you can even kind of use the whisk a bit just to keep it going. You want to make sure that nothing is staying still on the bottom of the pan for too long. That way it avoids like any sort of burning, because the burning would do the exact same thing that the like the brown butter kind of situation. It'll caramelize it. It'll give it kind of a bit of a charry flavor. And while all this is happening, my water is starting to bubble, which is great. That's just going to chill. And then again, while this is doing its magic over here, and before we add our cheese, we can talk about the different pastas you can use. So obviously, macaroni and cheese would suggest macaroni, which is like the elbow pastas, but it doesn't, like, that doesn't mean you can only use that. I'm a fan of all 2 pastas because what's great about any sort of 2 pastas, you can get kind of cheese in the tube. So when you're biting into that, every bite, you're getting like a great little explosion of cheese. Someone's saying how much flour? I use 2 tablespoons of flour. And you can see the pan. Yes, we'll flip it. Yeah, so 2 tablespoons of flour and 2 tablespoons of butter, and then I use a cup and a quarter of dairy. So now I'm just going to, anyway, so I'm using rigatoni, but it's actually called mezzi rigatoni, which actually translates to half. So it's like, they're not like full rigatoni tubes, they're about half tubes. Rigatoni is my favorite pasta, it's my jam. Especially if you're doing the baked version of what this is. I love it because, like I said, the cheese sauce gets into each and every single pocket of rigatoni. It's very cool. My water is boiling. Before I go any further in the pasta, I just kind of want to show you how this bechamel sauce looks right now. So this is literally the 3 ingredients. You know, now that it's starting to bubble, I'm just reducing the heat a little bit more. But essentially, it's become this nice velvety white sauce. This is the base for the cheese sauce. You can see that okay?
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, okay. So that's literally the 3, that was 3 ingredients. That was your butter, your flour, and then your dairies. Now the best part is the cheese. I have 2 cheeses here. This is actually a cool opportunity. If you have like a lot of various cheeses in your fridge, like me, because my dog's treat of choice is cheese. So you always have a little bit of cheese lying around. But if you have cream cheese, you can incorporate some cream cheese into this. I'm using marbled cheddar and mozzarella. I think those 2, they're very mild cheeses. They go quite well. But if you use like a sharper cheddar, obviously now it's not a milder cheese. It's a little bit more intense. You know, as an Italian Canadian, I'm a big fan of using mascarpone to like give it even a little bit more creaminess. But really, you just need some cheese. Like if you even want to use, you know, straight up Kraft singles, you can, because Velveeta goes a long way, especially in a mac and cheese. Especially if you also have this base sauce down, because then you're just going to incorporate this into your cheese, or into your bechamel rather, and that's going to make your cheese sauce. So before I go there, I'm going to salt my water. So got a little bit of salt for the water. People always ask, like, how do you know how much salt to add in the water? The rule of kind of cooking is that it should almost taste like salt water. Like literally, if you were at the beach and you're like, oh, this is like very salty. Exactly. That is the desired kind of flavor profile. The salt water.
Would cheese whiz work? Someone asked.
You know what? I'm not going to hate on that. I'm not going to hate on that at all. What's good about the cheese whiz, if you did like, I would do cheese whiz with cream cheese, because you're adding kind of one that's got a little bit higher fat and it's got actual dairy in it. Whereas I don't think cheese whiz actually has. Might have like whey in it. I don't know, but I don't know. I could be wrong. But so what thing I do is just so I know how much, like, basically the pasta will expand when it's cooked. So I'm gonna like half fill this plate that I'm using. So that way I do know that when I incorporate it back into with the cheese sauce back into this dish, it won't like be too much on. And I'm just throwing that right into the water there. Don't cover it. Like, don't put a lid on it. Don't put oil in there. Just like that. Someone has asked how much milk. So again, I used 1 cup of milk and 1/4 cup of table cream or whipping cream. But you want about 1 cup to 1.25 cups of dairy liquid in total. Someone says how much milk? I think I just answered that. So there we go.
Same person.
That's the best thing about the lives. You're getting this information in real time, folks.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just turning my heat on my bechamel sauce up a little bit more again. And I'm going to start to add my cheese. I'm not going to use it all because I do want to sprinkle a little bit on top of the rigatoni. Please answer. I did. You got 1.25 cups of dairy in there. And then someone goes, can you please post this on Instagram later? My son. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this video, and it'll be accessible for 24 hours on my Instagram. And you can feel free to direct people to ours after this to then watch it again. So I've got about 1/2 cup of mozzarella going in, and 1/2 cup of the marbled cheddar, maybe a little more. You know, if you find that. Sorry?
Someone said, slow down, my 6-year-old and I can't keep up.
There we go. Actually, his 6-year-old is Mia, and we just sang Mia happy birthday because we also, my friend John Catucci and my girlfriend and I, we do an Instagram live every morning, kind of like
your morning one.
Like we do a morning show, yeah. So that's more of a talk, and he had asked me to. He said, "Hey, can you do me a favor? It's my daughter's 6th birthday. Do you mind singing her happy birthday?" So of course, I don't know.
That's cute.
So now, what's great is I'm going to show you what I got going on here. is I've got my temperature very, very low. Like this is exactly what you want. Someone said, did you put the pasta in the water? Yes, I did. Once the water is boiled and you've added salt to your pasta water, you can then add your pasta to the water. And now I've got this cheese melting into my bechamel, which is great. It's kind of like a nice gooey cheese paste going on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the starch water as the pasta is cooking, and we're going to add some of that starch water to this cheese sauce to blend it into the pasta really nicely. How does that sound? Is that good so far? We're doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit. Happy birthday, Mia. Everyone's saying happy birthday to Mia. This is great. Happy birthday, Mia. How much cheese? So I used a cup in total, a half cup of mozzarella, half cup of marbled cheddar, but I've also got some leftover. So that way, once I've put it in the dish, I'm going to kind of sprinkle a little bit more on top. You can go a little lighter on the cheese. It also depends on the type of cheese you want to use also. Like if you are using a cheese that's super creamy, you might notice that it's kind of making the sauce with less cheese that you need. Like I think the Cheese Whiz and the cream cheese combination, you would probably notice is a super velvety creamy sauce. Whereas now this one that I've made right now is super like gooey, and it's just waiting for a little bit of starch water to cream it up a bit. And now I'm just adding a little bit of salt to the sauce itself and a little bit of black pepper. Now, so at this point, this is like your opportunity to kind of, as I wait for the pasta to cook, this is your opportunity to incorporate other things. So for example, if you had leftover bacon that's already cooked in the fridge, you can add your bacon to the cheese sauce. If you have onions that you want to like maybe caramelize off in your pan or just grill them, now you could add them to your cheese sauce. So if you had like leftover, cauliflower, hot sauce, if you want to add hot sauce, now's your time to do it. So it's in making this cheese sauce where you can kind of add these things.
How long does this dish take to prepare from start to finish?
I mean, you're seeing me do it from start to finish right now. I'm taking a little bit more time just so everyone can see the steps. But I would say all in from start to finish, 30 minutes tops, So I've added a little bit of the water. To be precise, I put 100 milliliters of some starch water into this just to make. Now, what's great about the starch water is you're using that great pasta water that has a lot of great like pasta making qualities. You need that it helps like the sauce actually stick to the macaroni. But now I've added it to our cheese sauce, and it's got this great kind of consistency now. I'm going to show you in 2 seconds. Someone said how much bacon. I don't think there's ever such a thing as too much bacon. Right?
However much you want.
However much you want. So now you can kind of see. Oh, sorry. Can you guys see that? Is that okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, we got this great little cheese sauce here. That is going to be. I'm going to essentially when the pasta is done, I'm going to strain the pasta. I'm going to pour it into that cheese sauce. We're going to mix it all around. We're going to add it to the dish. I like to add a little bit of chili flakes. Like I like a little bit of heat. You could use chili flakes. You could use hot sauce. It's really whatever you want. Like the idea here was show kind of the basic mac and cheese recipe, and then from there you can kind of make it however you want based on things that you have in your fridge that you're trying to utilize.
Someone said, "What is starch water?"
That's literally the water from the pasta that you're boiling the pasta in. So when you're boiling your pasta, it's giving off natural starches from the pasta. So if you just take a little, I got the same measuring cup, just grab a little bit or a ladle, just add it right to your cheese sauce.
Someone wants to add thyme. That would work, right?
Sorry?
Someone wants to add thyme to theirs.
Yep, fresh thyme is great. I obviously take it off the stem, give it a quick chop up. This is my girlfriend Kai. She just walked in. Hi, Kai.
Hello.
She says hi. The puppy follows her now, so there you go. I can walk freely this way without tripping on the puppy. But yeah, so the thyme, if you have fresh thyme, rosemary, oregano, basically take it off the vines, give it a fine chop, and I would add it at the point where like where you're making your cheese sauce part. So like when your cheese goes into the cream or the bechamel, then I would start adding in those fresh herbs as well, and it gives it a chance to kind of like penetrate and flavor the cheese. Someone else wants to add thyme. Yeah, go for it. Thyme is great. I love fresh thyme. There's actually something there's lemon thyme, which I find thyme has a very citrus flavor as well. So lemon thyme is great because it even it furthers that, which is exactly like I love a little fresh lemon juice at the end, like not now, but like when the pasta comes out of the oven, a little fresh lemon or like some lemon zest, a little Parmesan cheese right over the top, even just some olive oil, nice olive oil over the top. Chef, I have red potatoes. Any suggestions? So yes, if the potatoes are already blanched, which means like part cooked in water, you can like roast them on a high temperature in the oven, and then when you're blending the macaroni into the cheese sauce, add some of the potato as well. So then you get like these crispy bits, right? Does that sound great? So you can add like crispy potatoes, or like if you want to, instead of roast them in the oven, if you smash them a bit and fry them in oil, they get, again, super crispy, and you can like incorporate that into your macaroni and cheese as well. I love like little baby red skin potatoes are my favorite. So any chance that you can like, if you have leftovers of that, it's really great. And basically the potato is the same thing as the pasta. It just grabs the cheese. Like you could just forego the pasta altogether and make this exact same dish with potatoes.
Yeah, just potatoes.
Yeah. Someone said, what are you heating up? Oh, in the oven. So the oven is preheating at 475. Now, you don't have to do that step. In fact, not everyone does. I like it. So I'm just going to give a little taste of my pasta here. I like my pasta al dente, especially because if you're going to bake it as well, you want to make sure that it's not overcooked at this point.
Someone said, how about basil? You can add like any spices, yeah.
Any fresh herb.
Yeah.
Pasta needs about 2 more minutes, and then we can strain it. And then one of the other questions. Yes, the oven's at 450. Really, the idea there is to not only melt the cheese throughout and really get it to coat the pasta. It helps let all the flavors kind of settle, but then it gives a nice crispy top, kind of like a lasagna, you know. And then that way you're getting a nice contrast of textures. You have the crispy cheese on top. You have the nice creamy inside. It's fantastic.
Delicious. Someone wants your stormtrooper.
I mean, I don't blame them. Take that. I will trade for. You're gonna trade in my stormtrooper? No, I love this stormtrooper. It's 2 feet. It's 2 feet tall.
Did I add the pasta?
Someone says, "Who's the?" Anyways, so yes, you should have already added the pasta if you have it at this point. I mean, you can, in theory, just make this cheese sauce ahead of time, refrigerate it, and then if you want to warm it up, like put it in a Tupperware container once it's chilled, put it in the fridge, and then you can put it into a pan and warm it up gently with a little bit more dairy. So you don't have to use this right away, but definitely the cheese sauce we made in half the time of the pasta itself. So by all means, like, it does not take a lot of time to make it, and sorry, I'm just grabbing paper towel. I would even argue like it takes longer to make the box store-bought version than it did to make this version. Like, it takes no time whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Tastes much better, I'm sure.
You know what? I think there's a time and a place for everything. And one thing I love to do is the last time I made like the store-bought kind of like macaroni and cheese, I like to like bake it and then just still put fresh cheese into it. And then I'll fry an egg and put an egg on top and like put like
that sounds nice.
over it. I absolutely love sunny side up eggs on my mac and cheese. I just think the yolk, if you like yolk, like having the yolk kind of go into the cheese sauce is such a huge like flavor adder. And yeah, it's a big thing for me. I love eggs and macaroni and cheese. My girlfriend, we make a lot of chili, and she loves doing like a macaroni and cheese bake with chili. So yeah,
that'd be good.
Yeah.
Someone wants to see the cheese sauce.
Sure, of course. So it's just chilling right now, right? Just you see that? Bring it a little closer.
Yep.
So consistency-wise, it's quite loose, but not like runny. So it holds its own. And then what's great is when the pasta's ready, which should be very, very soon, it's just going to kind of coat the pasta. And then we're going to pour it right into that dish I showed you. I'm actually going to, so that's the square dish. It's got handles, so that way you can kind of very easily take it out of the oven. I'm going to put a little bit of, well, I had olive oil kicking around.
Someone asked how much pasta, but you just said like fill half your pan, whatever.
Yeah, I use half this bag, but really what you want to do is if you're going to bake it, assume that the pasta will almost double in size. So go to about 3/4 of the top, and then, like I said, once it's done, it'll probably very nicely fit over the top. It really is, you know, you can use an entire bag, and then that means you just need to make a little bit more, you need to make a little bit more cheese sauce, basically. You can just, you'll have the recipe based on these quantities, and then you can adjust from there.
Right. Can you freeze it?
Do you freeze the dish? You know what? You actually can. So if you're going to freeze it, put it in the plate.
Oh,
like
they said,
dish.
sorry. They said
Let
grease.
it cool. Oh, grease.
Grease, not freeze.
I mean, so you can do both. You can grease this dish if you want, with a little bit of butter or olive oil. And then, or if it's non-stick, you won't need to. I have oil. Oh, there it is. Here's my oil. So I was actually looking for this bottle of oil. So a little olive oil here just to actually grease the bottom of the dish. And it'll give it a nice little crust on the base as well. But you can also freeze this dish. So if you make it and put it in the container like this, let it cool to room temperature, wrap it up, put it in the freezer, and then for another day, you can pull it out, throw it in the oven at a lower temperature, at like a 325, and you'll bake it slowly from frozen. Okay, so,
Hi from Leeds.
I cooked a meal for this gentleman here in New Brunswick. Okay, so give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to strain my pasta. I'll be right back. But in the meantime, enjoy the storm.
Thanks.
Okay, so at the pasta here. Okay, so I have my rigatoni here. I actually am a big fan of, you want to leave a little bit of that starch water still. So I've got most of the water off. There is still a little bit of water there. This is going to just go directly into the cheese sauce. So I'm going to flip the camera around just so everyone can see right now, because this is the best part. Someone said, don't be shy. I'm not shy. I'm never shy. I'm just going to flip my camera so you guys can see what's going on here. All right, so the rigatoni is right in that sauce. And I'm just stirring it all around.
Someone asked where you got that stormtrooper.
I want to say Toys R Us. It was a gift from my significant other. She knows how much I absolutely love Star Wars. All right, so now you can see all this pasta's very nicely coated.
Looks delicious.
And I'm just going to, sorry, give me 2 seconds here. Someone asked me a WrestleMania question, and I'll respond to that in 2 seconds because I'm a very big wrestling fan. And I'm assuming they asked me because I saw my wrestling toys also in the back here. Like I said, big child. Big child. But here, okay, so I got my pot of rigatoni. I've got my spatula, and now I'm just guiding it all into this dish.
Can I add basil? Yeah, you can add basil.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can actually add basil either when you're making the sauce or even just chop it up and sprinkle it over the dish afterwards.
Do you grease the dish? Yes.
Yep. I did grease the dish with a little bit of olive oil. So now, you got here, I'm going to flip this around again so you can see what's going on here. So it's all in the dish there. Okay, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit more cheese on top because why not? Why not? Someone said, I hope we win another contest because, so literally, I did a contest through the Food Network and 2 people won it. The first family that won this dinner with me, they lived like literally 10 minutes away from my parents here in Toronto. So it was like, like down the street. The second person was in the middle, like 2 hours outside of Fredericton, New Brunswick. Like it couldn't have been two more different victories. But anyways, okay, this is done. You can eat this like this, and it's phenomenal. I am going to bake mine off, and you'll see the difference texturally. So that's in there. That doesn't take too long. So, and what's great about this time is this is where you can start doing cleanup. A lot of people wait to the end of the meal to clean up, but like literally when you're baking off the pasta, you have time to kill. Now's the time to do a little bit of cleanup. So I got my pots and pans here. And I'm back. But yeah, so there was a couple questions while we're waiting for the pasta to now bake off.
Yeah.
There's a couple questions, so I'm more than happy to kind of answer those.
A couple of people are asking for like more kids meals. Like, can you do an easy dessert for kids? We'd love to see weekly kids cooking tips.
Okay, so if you wanted to take this meal, another thing you could do is like add hot dogs to it. Like that'd be really fun. Or like you could add, make a cheeseburger and chop that up into pieces, and then top it with like lettuce and tomatoes, like chopped lettuce and tomatoes, and make like a homemade Big Mac sauce. So it'd be like a Big Mac version of a mac and cheese. I told you I'm a big challenger. So this, and then one of my favorite things to make as a snack, and it's definitely something that a kid would love, is you take a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, super simple, but then you whisk an egg, add a little bit of dairy to it, and then you take the whole peanut butter and jelly sandwich and you basically dip it like it's French toast, and you make French toast with the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, just like you would if it was a regular piece of bread. And it's phenomenal. Covered in maple syrup, eat it just like that. You've just taken a regular peanut butter and jelly sandwich and you completely changed it. How long to bake? So basically, it's you're looking at like a 6 to 8 minute bake. But really, it's a visual thing. Like once you see that cheese getting nice and crispy on top, you know that it's done because the pasta is ready. The pasta is done. The cheese is melted. So all the elements there are ready to go. So you're literally, it's more of a visual thing.
How much water do you put in the sauce?
I use about 150 milliliters of the starch water into the cheese sauce.
I think we answered all the questions for now.
Someone asked me a question about WrestleMania, so I know.
Oh, right.
I think I'm actually shocked to this person specifically. I'm shocked they're still doing it. I get like why they would do it over 2 days, because it's a lot to just sit there and watch 8 hours of wrestling with no like fan engagement, because that's a huge part of the event. And I've actually, when I was 17, I went and saw WrestleMania in Toronto, and it was unbelievable. So I know how much the fan experience is such a big part of that event. So to now remove that because of the craziness that's going on in the world, I think it makes sense to do it. I would have just postponed it, because that's like having the Super Bowl without any people there. It'd be kind of odd.
Yeah.
What do you think about it being in front of no one? Again, I think that's weird. I think I think you need audience engagement for any sort. I mean, professional sports. Part of the reason why professional sports and just activities in general, it's like, it's for the athletes, but it's also for communities, right? And I think that's why people rally behind these types of events, and to just eliminate that altogether, but still do the it's good, but you're losing a huge part of what makes the experience.
Yeah.
That's my 1 year wedding anniversary, WrestleMania. We got married last year on that. That's amazing. That I've tried to pitch the idea of either a wedding theme or a Star Wars theme wedding to my better half. It's been shot down pretty quick. She's not a fan. She'll come around, I think. She'll come around. My persistence might she's definitely
maybe a Star Wars cake.
Star Wars cake. Maybe the person officiating could dress like Darth Vader. Just throwing these things.
Sounds great.
I'm throwing these things out there. Let's just check on the mac and cheese while we're here. It's almost there. probably like 5 more minutes, and that mac and cheese is done.
Okay.
I love how people are still joining now, which is awesome. So
know.
like I said, if you're not able to, you can always go back and watch the whole thing. But this will be live on my Fidel Gastro's feed for 24 hours. So you'll have 24 hours to view this. You obviously won't be able to engage live, but at least you'll be able to see some of the other questions, and hopefully I've answered them all. And then, like I said, I'm going to give you guys the recipe, so that way you can post it however you need to post it.
Yeah, we'll share it with all
of the dish. Yeah, so that's a big thing in like the southern states in the U.S. is to do like a breadcrumb kind of crust. I am not a fan of it, but that's a personal thing. That has nothing to do with, can you or can't you. You would actually do it right before I put it in the oven. So, for example, once it's assembled, you would then sprinkle some seasoned breadcrumbs over the top. And really all you're doing is you're giving it a crispier top. Literally all you're doing. Do you broil the top at the end or just bake? So you can do both. Like this is baking right now. It's baking at a very high temperature. But if cornflakes. I love that idea. Crumple up cornflakes. You know what actually is really good? Ketchup chips. You crumple up ketchup chips. Or like Doritos and sprinkle Doritos over the top. Oh yeah. So cornflakes are good. Cornflakes don't really add flavor, they just give it that little extra crunch. That's a no for the cornflakes. Try the ketchup chips though. That's a huge win. Huge win. But yeah, now we're just waiting, which is, you know what, while we're waiting, I might just switch this to broil, right, which will just speed up this process.
Yeah.
There you go. So literally, if you're wondering what I just did, I just took it off bake, switched it to broil. It's literally just going to make the top part bubble. It's baked. I'm definitely going to do ketchup. Yeah, definitely try the ketchup chips. Definitely try the ketchup chips. Doritos, like Cool Ranch Doritos is another great one. How long does it bake? You're looking about 8 to 10 minutes. 8 to 10 minutes on that bake. Now we're getting into the munchy food. This is true. So I used to, one thing I used to do this all the time when I first started our company, but I would make the mac and cheese. I would let it set in the dish that you saw. Mm-hmm. I would then refrigerate it so that it would be like firm. Then while cold, I would cut like slices into it, and then take 2 slices of bread, put cheese on the bread, like a grilled cheese sandwich, put the macaroni and cheese in the middle of that, and then like take a sandwich press. And it's literally, someone was like, carbs and carbs? I'm like, carbs and carbs. Sure. Someone says, bring up more, please. Like more ideas?
What does that mean?
Bring up more. I think that means bring up more ideas. What else could you do? Popcorn? Yeah, great. Or pretzels. You can do pretzels on top. That would be nice.
Pretzels would be good.
I've actually made the Big Mac idea I had. I've done that before, and that was a lot of fun. So like literally, as doing the macaroni and cheese, making like rolling off a burger, cutting it up into chunks. I would have pickles, like sliced pickles, shredded lettuce, and tomatoes cut into cubes, and literally top the mac and cheese with that. And so good.
I've only ever done breadcrumbs, so these are so many good ideas.
There you go.
I need to make while I'm at home.
I'm here for you guys. So that's almost ready. I'm just going to grab something so I can safely grab it from the pan.
All right. You're happy to participate.
Cool, I'm back. But yeah, is Kids Up Front planning on any other events like this over Instagram? Well, I mean, this was kind of a one-off that we thought of, but depending on how long this goes for, I'm more than happy to do more of these. I'm a huge fan of, like, I try and be involved with as many charities or charitable organizations as possible. As a small business owner, it's hard to do everything, but one thing I definitely put a lot of focus into is youth initiatives. I think it's so important to provide, I think it's just like fun ideas for anyone, right? Like, I think that's just such a big part. So we can figure out if we do more of these offline, but
I'm sure it would be great.
Ooh,
We
we could
have
do like a taco night. That'd be fun. Or like fajitas.
tacos.
I'm actually doing a Taco Tuesday live Tuesday night at Tuesday evening at 4 p.m. next on Tuesday. I do a Taco Fest event every June. We don't know if the event's going to happen this year. So obviously because of the big question mark outside.
Yeah.
So the organizers of the event, Taste Toronto, they're going to do a live, and I'm going to hop on the live, and we are going to do our taco. Out of the last 4 years, it won best taco 3 out of the 4 years, and last year it came in third. Anyways,
We'll cheer for you this year.
right? But yeah, so we're gonna do a taco demo on Tuesday. I did one yesterday with my good friend Tanya Kim, who's a television personality, and we did. I showed her how to make like a brunch hash, which literally is a great recipe for going into your fridge and finding all the odd bits of things you have, and then being able to just turn it into an awesome brunch dish. So it's great if you have like leftover, like I had like leftover pastrami, and I had some mushrooms from the night before, some roasted carrots. So I managed to make this whole dish just based on that. Speaking of dish, I'm gonna grab this.
Yeah. While you're doing that, I'm just gonna answer this. Hey kids up front, do you have any resources for kids who are bored at home? While all of this is going on, yes, go to our Instagram. We post every day at 11 with a new activity or something that will be helpful to parents or caregivers. And that's what we're doing right now. And check our stories also. We're always posting or reposting other people's activities.
Gotta love activities.
Yeah, we have a long list.
All right, so I just put a little bit. Now this is raging hot. So when you're grabbing from the oven, make sure you're using oven mitt, a rag, something. Don't forget. God knows I've forgotten. It happens. It's never a good thing. You can eat this mac and cheese right now. It is bubbling. It's so hot. So I'm going to flip this around so everyone can see what it looks like. There it is.
Looks delicious. Right?
I'll have a little... I just want everyone to see kind of the gooiness that's going on here. Like, it's so creamy. You see that? Like, oh.
I'm hungry.
Very good. It's very hot, though. I definitely have heartburn now. My goodness, that was very hot. I should have listened to my own advice. Woo! That was hot. That's the big mac and cheese. I hope everyone that watched enjoyed this, and maybe it's something to talk about. We want to do more of these.
Yeah, definitely.
That hurt. That was so hot. But yeah, Nicole, do you have any more things that you want to add about Kids Up Front and other things you guys are doing during this time, or?
Yeah, like feel free to follow us on all of our social media. We post on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter every day at 11. It's all at Kids Up Front TO. We have lots of resources there. We're coming up with new stuff every day. And we're looking for more people like you to help us do things for kids. On Monday, we have like a little live concert on our Instagram with our friend. Her name's Rahel, which is going to be awesome. So hopefully we can keep doing more stuff like this. And thank you again for doing this. This is awesome.
And if there's anyone watching this from my channel that's either a chef or whatever, I highly recommend. If I know there's a lot of chefs that are looking for ways to like kind of get more involved with different communities, this is a great way to kind of help out as well. So
yeah,
reach out to you guys. And then what I was actually really amazed with, because I think we agreed to do this about a week and a half ago, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize, so I saw your Instagram account promoting that we were doing this today, but I didn't realize there were so many other like partners, I guess, that work with you guys that were also like, I noticed here, like the Gilda Radner Club promoted that we were doing this today. Like, amazing.
We have over 300 agency partners in and around Toronto. And there's 5 other Kids Up Fronts in Canada. So we're all over.
Amazing. Very cool. So there you go. There you guys have it. Baked mac and cheese made from scratch. A lot of fun. Very tasty. Very easy to do at home, especially with what you have in your dish. But yeah, very cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.